How many more years do you think that you can maintain this level of dedication? Have you thought about this?
Yeah. So it's all, number one, pending my health, particularly my stomach, which is like probably 70% better now.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Like the last podcast, like I told you, like I literally have no idea what we talked about at all, besides me telling you that I was nauseous.
Because you were trying not to puke.
I was so nauseous. I was just like, come on, fucking hold
Tell
it
everybody
together.
what happened. So what happened was you got staph infection. Henzo's in New York City was notorious for giving people staph. That basement, because it got no sunlight. It was down there, and you got a bunch of savages out there strangling each other and sweating in this puddle, and it just got funky, right? And so you got bad staph.
So I had recurring staph infections in 2018, and then I was taking oral antibiotics, and it just wiped out everything in my stomach, like all the good bacteria, everything. And then I had what ended up being a fungal overgrowth, a massive fungal overgrowth in my small intestine, and a huge bacterial imbalance in my stomach, and then H. pylori, which I had. But it was misdiagnosed as gastroparesis because I did a stomach emptying test where you eat like radioactive eggs, and they scan your stomach every X amount of, like every half hour to see how it moves through the stomach. And I was emptying slow. And so they misdiagnosed as gastroparesis. I still have people message me every single day who like are catching up on the podcast. They're like, man, I just saw Joe. Tell me what you did for your gastroparesis. I'm like, I don't fucking have gastroparesis. But they misdiagnosed it. After like 4 years, I went to like all the best doctors in the country, and they're just useless. Like they just, oh, we'll do an endoscopy. I had one guy do a colonoscopy, and they're like, yeah, you look fine. And I was like, okay, well, if I can't get these doctors to figure it out, I guess I'm just going to deal with it. Hopefully it'll get better. And then it just got worse as time went on because the fungal overgrowth just started getting worse and worse. And then it was like affecting my kidney function, and it was just like awful. And then I had to like I took a leave of absence. I guess I like retired from grappling for a year because I couldn't even like function as a human being. Never mind, like I couldn't even like hold the conversation. I was so nauseous all the time.
Wow.
And then we were doing the podcast, and I was like traveling. I was like looking at houses in Austin because you convinced me to move to Austin. And I was here like eating restaurant food for like 3 days before, and we went to the podcast, and I was like, "Fuck, I can't even talk right now."
Because you used to have to eat very bland food.
Otherwise but even I would just wake up like 24/7 nauseous. Like the best way I can describe it is the worst hangover you ever had, like where you want to throw up to feel better but you can't. That's like my baseline, and then it gets worse from there. And then like imagine you go to training, and like now picture you have the worst hangover you've ever had, and you have to run a marathon 30 minutes later. Like the more tired you get, the worse it gets. So then I was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. And then somehow, like the stars aligned, and actually his doctor in California, because he had some bad stomach problems, he's like, you got to go to Dr. Rabar in California. And I saw him, and he's like, yeah, I don't think you have gastroparesis. I think you just have something in your small intestines, which is backing up into your stomach and causing like a bile and food backup, and that's why you're emptying slowly, and it's mimicking gastroparesis. So he did a bunch of tests that no one's ever done, and like my levels are like way off. Like one of the things was like normal was between like 0 and 5, and then high was like over 5 or over 10, and my level was like 555. It was just like 50 times what it was supposed to be. So so I've been on this treatment now for a year in October, and I'm like 75% better now. I can actually like hold a conversation. I can eat food. I can like do shit. And now I'm competing again. But
so are there cases in like medical literature that talk about people taking high levels of antibiotics over, because you took it over a 12-month period, right? You were constantly on antibiotics.
Well, yeah, because so basically you take the antibiotics, and it wipes out the good bacteria in your stomach. And then your immune system is trying to fix that. So then your immune system's low. It's not as strong as it usually is. And I'm training all the time, so I'm always just run down. And then you get staph again. And then you take more antibiotics, and then it wipes out your stomach even worse. So then your immune system's on overdrive trying to fix it, and then you get staph again. So it's like a cycle where you just keep getting staph and keep fucking up your immune system in your stomach. So there was probably like a year period from like 2018 to 2019 where I think I was on antibiotics more than I wasn't for staph. I would like get staph and be like on 10 days, 2 weeks of medicine, and then 3 days later I'd have staph again, and I go back on antibiotics. Like, it was just miserable.
And for anybody who's never taken antibiotics and tried to work out, it just drains you.
It just kills you. You have no cardio. You have nothing. So then I started using Hibiclens in the shower when I would train. It's like the soap that they use to wash their hands before surgery. It's like a super strong soap, and that helped a lot. And then I met his doctor, Dr. Rabar, and now that I'm getting better, I hardly ever get staph. I get maybe once every 6 months.
Do you use defense soap?
I don't.
I know John was skeptical of that, but it's because he hasn't seen the research on it. Like, defense soap is fucking legit.
Yeah.
And the good thing about it is it doesn't kill any of the bad bacteria, or the good bacteria,
yeah,
rather.
that's the thing with Hibiclens, is it wipes out everything.
That's not good.
But I'll try defense soap, because there was a point where if I was on the mats and I didn't use Hibiclens, I was guaranteed to get staph.
I will have them send it to you.
Okay.
But my friend Guy Sacco, who runs the company, he created it because wrestlers, they were working with wrestlers, and they were all getting staph. And so he did all this research into various essential oils and things that are good for healthy bacteria but kill off bad bacteria. Yeah. So it's got eucalyptus oil and tea tree oil and all this.
I would love to try it.
And it also smells good. It's the only soap I use.
I'm going to try it.
I use it every day. But it stopped for me. It stopped all staph, ringworm. I was getting it all the time. Well, not all the time, but I got staph twice, and I got ringworm probably 3 or 4 times.
Okay,
so you
it was annoying as fuck. I don't get it at all, and I wasn't getting it at all when I was using it on a daily basis. It smells good.
Okay.
It's just better.
It's like regular soap, but it's
yeah. And they have wipes. They have all kinds of shit. They have stuff that even if you can't get to a shower immediately, they have these wipes that look like those butt wipes.
Yeah.
And you just fucking clean yourself off with them.
But yeah, I'd definitely love to try that. But to your original point of how long I'm going to compete for,
right? But keep going on with that. So what did they do What was the medication to fix that?
So he just got to my house to do this show, and he's like, "What are all these fucking pills?" I literally have 30 pill bottles that I have to take twice a day, and it's just a combination of over the counter stuff to help me. There's nothing that's in there that's prescription, but he gave me. I'm on a strong oral antifungal. First I treated the H. pylori, and then I'm on a strong antifungal. And then all just immune and gut supporting medicines that just take time to rebuild the gut bacteria and flush out the fungus and the bad bacteria. So
I know we talked about this before in the last time, but have you ever said, I'm going to take a month and just do some serious hardcore fasting and see if that helps?
So I did do the fasting. It wasn't my choice. I just literally couldn't eat. But I did try to do probably about 3 weeks of fasting, and it didn't help. I think that I needed the medicine. The first success I had was when you introduced me to Brigham with the Ways to Well. So they gave me, a bunch of stuff which increased my appetite a lot and was helping. I was able to, because my main thing is keeping weight on and gaining size. I'm big, but I'm a small heavyweight. Depending on my stomach, I'd be 205, one day, and then I have a good month, and then I'm 225, 230, then I'm back to 210, and my weight would fluctuate based on how much I could eat. So they put me on this regimen, and they gave me a bunch of stuff that increased my appetite. So I got super big, but I was still getting nauseous. So it didn't fix the problem. I could eat more, but then I would just be nauseous after. So then I was using a combination of the Ways to Well stuff with his doctor, and now their stuff makes me more hungry, and I can actually eat food now. So everything's getting a little bit better. And I feel like I used to just eat 2 eggs, and I would just feel it sitting in my stomach. It just wouldn't filter down. So I would just be carrying food all day long. And then I'm trying to force feed myself to keep the weight on. And they actually did a test, and they're like, yeah, you're not only can you not eat, but your body's only absorbing 60% of the food that you actually do eat. So I was eating 10 times less than I was supposed to, and then just not absorbing half of it. So it's just a total disaster.
How much longer do you have to be on all this medication?
Well, I have I have to do a retest this week. I have to take a pee test and some blood work, and then I'm going to do a meeting with him on September 20th, right after ADCC, and then he's going to tell me where to go from there. We have to see what my levels are, but I'm sure he's going to keep me on a lot of the stuff. It's just like overall stuff to like help promote digestion and overall stomach function. But I'm just listening to what he says because everything he said so far has been accurate.